Oh, hello, everybody. Matt over at SFREP. Glad you could join me today as we are going to be talking about new technology. With the new UAD coming out, everybody's wondering, do they need to get a new computer? And so we have this webinar to kind of answer that question. So the quick answer to that question is no, you don't need a new computer. But there are some other reasons why you probably do. One of those being that in October, and I forget the date, but in October, Microsoft is going to stop supporting Windows 11. So they're going to stop supporting Windows 10, and you will need to be on Windows 11. And because of the unique hardware requirements for Windows 11, in many, if not most cases, it is not just a matter of you upgrading your version of Windows to Windows 11. You probably are going to have to buy a whole new computer. So a couple of things about buying new technology. You're going to quickly find out when you start looking that laptops are way more in demand than desktops. It used to be, when a lot of us were younger and getting into computing, that laptops were considerably more expensive than their desktop counterparts were. That's kind of flipped at this point. It's way cheaper to get a laptop now than it is to get a desktop, and you get a lot more choice available to you when you go with a laptop. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't really want to do my appraisals on a laptop. However, with the advent of USB-C ports on these laptops, there are these small little dongles that you can get where you plug the power cord for the laptop into the dongle through USB-C. And then that dongle is going to charge, when you plug it in, it's going to charge your laptop. Plus, you can have monitors connected to HDMI ports on the dongle and as well as giving you additional USB ports, so that when you plug this little dongle in, your keyboard is going to be available to you, a full-size like desktop keyboard. Your external mouse is going to be available to you. You could have 2 or even 3 monitors that'll light up, and it'll also be charging your laptop. So you'll have the flexibility of, you can use it as a desktop, but you'll have that flexibility to be able to take your laptop with you out on the road, on vacation with you, on a trip of some kind, so that you have that ability to do your work and be productive when you're not necessarily at home or at your office in front of your computer. So I'm going to go over some specs that we recommend for Appraise-It Pro, which is our product. If you are not a customer of ours, welcome. We would love to have you as a customer. And I'm going to go over some specs that we recommend for our product, Appraise-It Pro. Now, the specs I'm going to give you are recommended specs. Appraise-It Pro will pretty much run on any computer currently being sold off the shelf right now. It's just with these specs, you're going to have the best possible experience. And I am not bougie when it comes to computers and technology. I want you guys to get the best deal possible. So if you've got a little bit more money to spend, you can get a nicer built, more premium feeling computer. Or you can buy a computer that's going to get you from point A to point B, kind of like a car. You can buy a Lexus, or you can buy a Toyota, or you can buy a Kia. It really just depends. They're all going to get the job done. It's just the fit and finish is usually a little bit better on the higher end. But the specs often can be very similar. So let's take a look at what we recommend as the specs for running Appraise-It Pro. And we're going to go over processor, RAM, storage, the keyboard, and the connections. Now, I wrote this 2 years ago. They still stand. And keep in mind that the days when you would buy a computer and then 6 months later it was out of date, those days are kind of over. You can buy a computer now and expect to be able to use it for 3 to 5 years. Okay? And remember, these processors that I'm going to go over, this RAM I'm going to go over, they keep getting updated. It's iterative changes. They're a little bit higher end. They'll boost the speed a little bit, things like that. But for the most part, these are gonna these are going to be your recommended specs. Start with the processor. The cool thing is that both AMD and Intel, who are the big processor makers, they have brought their numbering scheme, their model numbering scheme, into parity with each other. So, for instance, a Ryzen 3 and a Core i3 are basically the same processor. They're in the same class with each other. Now, I will say that AMD's Ryzen processors they're my favorite. They tend to be a little bit cheaper, a little bit faster, but they also have way better graphics than what you generally find on the Intel side. Because remember, with a computer nowadays, everything is what's called system on a chip. So you got one chip, the processor chip, that's going to have all of your input-output stuff, all your I/O. It's going to have all your graphics on there. It's going to have the main processor. It's going to have your neural processing unit. We'll go over what that is here in a little bit. All that stuff's on one chip. So the one chip that AMD has, the Ryzen processors, they tend to be just a little bit faster and bonus, a little bit cheaper. So we recommend, now these processors numbering wise, they go 3, 5, 7, and 9. 3 is what I would recommend for, your grandmother, your grandpa who just want to check their email and browse a little bit, home stuff. And then kids in high school or middle school. Okay, that would be your 3. Your 5 is aimed at the professional business market and power home users, but it's really kind of aimed at the business market. Above that, you got your 7. That's aimed at power business users and gamers. And then the 9 is almost completely just aimed at gamers. Okay. So what I recommend is the 5. That would be an AMD Ryzen 5 or an Intel Core i5. Next, let's take a look at RAM. And by the way, these are just kind of recommended specs. If you can get better than this, if you can get a Ryzen 7 or a Core i7, and it's in your budget, go for it. Like, don't feel that you need to have the 5. Go for as much as you can. Same thing goes for RAM. 8 gigabytes would be kind of the mid-range standard at this point. You're starting to see 16 gigs of RAM start to creep into the kind of standard stock specs that you'll find on systems now. I would say probably by next year, 16 will be more the norm than 8 will be. But right now, 8 is what you're going to see out there a lot. And that is perfectly fine for our software. But once again, if you can get more software, or if you can get more RAM, if you can get a higher processor, go for it if it's still in your budget. Storage, 256 gigabyte solid state drive SSD. It'll be solid state drive will be abbreviated as SSD. Now, what does solid state mean? It doesn't mean that there's vacuum tubes in older computers. What it means in this instance is it's not a mechanical hard drive. So the hard drives that we have had for 30 years now, they are mechanical spinning metal discs, little platters with a magnetic coating on them. And they're in this vacuum sealed package that is in a vacuum. And this thing spins at like 7,200 RPM inside of this vacuum. And it has these little fiddly heads, little fiddly bits that go back and forth and try to read all the data. That's what we've been doing for 30 years now. As you can imagine, it's very big engineering to get that stuff to be reliable, but it's still not that reliable. Solid state means that it's chip-based storage. Chip-based, like think of like a flash drive. There's no moving parts on a flash drive, but way faster. And that's what a solid state drive is. They are better in pretty much every respect. They used to be very expensive. Now they are not. You can get a 1 terabyte drive external now for like $120. Not expensive. So solid state drive, at least 256 gigabytes. I would opt for 512 if I were you, especially if it is going to be your primary computer and not just a secondary laptop you take in the field. If it is going to be your primary computer, I would say go with 512 or a terabyte. But 256 would be, minimum or what I would expect to see. You're starting to see the 512 once again become kind of more common in the mid-range. The keyboard's very important. You guys type for a living. So what I would recommend is go to your local Best Buy, go to your local Staples, go to your local home, what do they call it? Office Depot. I almost said Home Depot. Go to your local Office Depot, see if the machine that you're looking at is available. Even if it's not, even if that exact machine's not available, find one that looks like it, because what most of these companies do is they build a chassis, like one or two chassis, and then there's a bunch of different models that are stuck inside of that chassis. So it's going to have the same keyboard across all of them. It's going to have the same screen, the same body. All that stuff is going to be the same. Lenovo is especially known for this. So go and find one that looks like the one you're looking at, and then try out the keyboard. Now, remember, you're going to type on it and you're going to make more mistakes because you're not used to that keyboard. You got to build up that muscle memory. But what you're going to be looking for is to make sure that the key travel is good. When you press down on those buttons, make sure there's good feedback that you've pressed that button. You want to make sure that the keys are nicely spaced apart. And then the big thing is you're going to want to make sure that it has a 10 key. And if you want to know what a 10 key is, see if I can pull this out here. I've got my standing desk on right now, but there's my keyboard. That's your 10 key right there, the number pad on the right-hand side. You're going to want to make sure that it has that, so that when you're entering numbers, because that's what you do a lot of, that you're going to be able to do that quickly with that number pad. Traditionally, on smaller laptops that are less than 15.6 inches, they omit the number key because the actual body of the laptop becomes too small to have it. And then you'll see it on larger laptops, except for some reason HP. HP doesn't seem to be putting the dang 10 key on even their higher end, larger laptops. I don't know why, but Lenovo and Dell are doing it. All right, let's go back over here. Make sure the keyboard feels good. And then finally, your connections, USB-C and USB 3.1. When I originally made these specs, it wasn't really common to find USB-C on laptops, but that has changed. Every laptop out there right now has USB-C. Usually they'll have USB-C and USB-A. And if you don't know what USB-A is, hold on, I think I've got, oh yeah, here we go. Actually, I can show you both. So USB-C, especially if you have a newer iPhone or if you have an Android phone. That's USB-C. Tiny little connector there. What's USB-A? That's USB-A. All right. It's the USB that we've had for years and years and years. That's USB-A. So you're going to have both USB-A and USB-C ports on there. I would love to see two USB-C ports. Lower end computers are only going to have one, but you want them to at least have three ports. At least two USB-A and one USB-C, but I do like to see two USB-C ports. Okay. A lot of people ask, Matt, what type or what brand of laptop do you recommend? And I will always say Lenovo. I have Lenovo's. I think they make the best laptops. Hands down. Even on the low end, they have really good keyboards. They're plastic on the low end, but they have really good keyboards, and they're just well put together. And then their higher end PCs, like their Lenovo Yogas, their Yoga PCs are excellent. They're all metal construction. You get a thumbprint reader or a fingerprint reader to unlock it. You get their version of Face ID. To unlock it. You also get a 1080p webcam, really good microphones and speakers, like fantastic speakers on their high-end laptops. And if you don't know who Lenovo is, they're a Chinese company, but they're a Chinese and an American company, because all of their computer operations and their phone operations, because they own Motorola now, are based here in where I am, North Carolina. I'm in Charlotte. They're a North Carolina company. And their North American headquarters is also a co-headquarters in addition to their Chinese headquarters. And you'll know them because they bought IBM's computer business back in 2005. So essentially Lenovo computers are IBM computers, and they just make great machines. Highly recommend them. After them, I would say HP. Dell makes good laptops on the high end. They're mid and low range laptops that are kind of garbage. I don't really like them at all. And then Asus is, I'll put them there with Dell. They're not terrible, but they're not the best laptops in the world. So let's take a look at what is available out there. So give me just a second. We're gonna see here. We're gonna pull up the Best Buy website here. Let me pull it over so you guys can see it. Here we go. And what we're going to do here is, now remember, the specs that I gave you are going to be the same, whether it is for a laptop or a desktop. Okay, so we're going to look at both here. We're going to look at pricing now. Keep in mind, as I'm recording this, as we're doing this live stream, it is August 28th. We're going into Labor Day holiday. So there are going to be some Labor Day sales and some back to school sales that are going on right now. So if you're watching this after the fact, don't expect these prices to be the same, but there are always stuff going on sale and coming off sale, especially with Best Buy. So if we do, or actually no, let's not do that. Let's do Ryzen 5 laptop and see what we come up with here. Now, the first one here, I knew this one was gonna show up. This one right here, this is the college laptop. Like this is the laptop that all the college kids are purchasing. Okay, it's only $299. It's on sale right now, $299. Usually it's $580. This is a 15.6-inch laptop, full HD 1080p screen. It is a touch screen. Now, it doesn't fold back on itself, but it is a touch screen. It is a Ryzen 5, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD. This literally meets all of those recommended specs, and it's a really cool blue color too. If you can kind of see that, it's kind of like a really dark midnight blue, kind of like what Apple calls midnight blue. Beautiful laptop, all plastic. No thumbprint scanner. It's all a plastic screen. It's got a 720p webcam. The battery life is okay. You're probably going to get 10 or 11 hours of battery life out of it. But a solid machine if you're on a budget, for sure. This computer is always going on sale. There is one very similar to it that's the same color and everything. That's actually a Intel Core i5, and it has, I believe, 16 gigs of RAM on it for about the same price. Now, here's another one right here. Now, this one is from HP. This one does give you the 10 key. So $50 more. And you're going to get your 10 key. It's an HP. Now, of course, also going to be plastic. It is a touch screen. It's a 1080p touch screen. But everything is plastic. But Ryzen 5, 256 storage, but you're going to get 16 gigs of RAM. And that's important because a lot of times on these newer laptops, to save space, they're not letting you upgrade the RAM. They solder the RAM directly to the motherboard, so it's not upgradable. So you kind of got to grab what you think you're going to need or want when you actually purchase the laptop itself. Let's see what else we got here. This website's been really slow recently. See if it'll fill in. There we go. Yeah, go away. So, oh my God. Best Buy, what are you doing? Annoying. 420. So we're going to bump up a little bit to $430. You're looking at a Ryzen 5, 8 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD. Once again, why would you buy that when you can buy this one with the same specs? Well, you do get 512 gigs of storage, but you only get 8 gigs of RAM. You'll see that a lot where it's going to be a give and take to keep the price down. They're going to give you more storage, but you're going to get less RAM, or you're going to get more RAM and you're going to get less storage. This is what I'm talking about, these Dell, lower end Dell computers. This thing is, I don't recommend it. It has terrible battery life. It's not well constructed. I would stay away from them. Let's get back into, okay, so here you're starting to, when you hit that $500 level, you start getting into the higher end laptops. So in this case, $500. Now this is a 16-inch laptop. And so it's basically like a 15.6, but you're going to get a 2K screen, not 4K. You're going to get 2K. And essentially what it's going to be is it's going to be like a 1080p screen, like your TV at home, 16:9 aspect ratio, but they're going to add a little bit extra on the top and the bottom to make it more of a squared off screen. So this OmniBook is going to be one of their higher end. This is the HP equivalent of a Lenovo Yoga. This one, let's go ahead and click on it so we can take a closer look at it. 16-inch laptop and you're not getting the 10 key. I don't understand that, HP. I don't know why they keep doing that. But we're going to be at a Ryzen 5, a 2K screen, all glass, all aluminum, so it's all metal design. Beefy hinges. The thing will flip back on itself so that you can use it to kind of tent, or you can use it as a tablet if you wish. Ryzen 5, 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD storage. So we are above our recommended specs. This would be a great computer that I would highly recommend. You get a backlit keyboard as well. Their version of Face ID, but you don't get that 10 key. I don't know why they do that. You do get bigger buttons because of that. You get bigger keys, like full-size keys, but I think would rather have that 10 key. Let's see here. We'll go down a little bit further. Oh, this brings up, don't be tempted to get one of these gaming laptops because they have great specs. But the problem with a gaming laptop, they're very heavy, they're very bulky, and the power supply, they have terrible, absolutely atrocious battery life. And the power supply that comes with them, it is a chunky beast. It is a big power supply. It's very heavy. You're not going to want to carry this thing around. So I don't recommend getting, and man, when these fans kick on, it sounds like a jet engine's taking off. So I don't really recommend these for doing business related tasks. But let's come up here and we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at my favorite here. Lenovo Yoga. Love them, love them, love them. If I can actually get that correct. There we go. Lenovo Yoga. Man, this website's slow today. This one right here this is my work laptop. This is the one I have for that I take with me on business trips here for SFREP. It's actually, no, excuse me, this one is. So it's a Core i7 Ultra processor, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, $750. That is a screaming deal. I would snap that thing up if you can. It also is a Copilot PC. And what that means is that it can do AI stuff on the computer instead of having to send it up to the cloud all the time. So some of the AI stuff, it can actually do on the computer itself. So Copilot, if you've never messed with it, you should. It is Microsoft's AI, and it is essentially ChatGPT, but connected to the internet. Because, spoiler alert, ChatGPT is not connected to the live internet. It is using a data set that is scraped from the internet at a given time. So it can't give you up-to-date information like weather and stuff like that. It struggles with that. Copilot is basically ChatGPT, because Microsoft is a big supporter of, they're an investor and part owner of ChatGPT. And so they use it, and that's what Copilot is. It's ChatGPT connected to the internet. So it's really good. I really like it. That's also a screaming deal, though. Although the one thing I don't like about that one is it's a 14-inch screen. That just means it's going to be more portable, but it's going to be harder for you to be able to see it, because God knows I'm getting old, and it's hard to see things. It's hard to see these screens. So I like the 16-inch versions of these. Let's see. Do we have any cheaper? Doesn't look like the Lenovo's. It's kind of like Pepsi and Coke. Like one of them is always on sale. It's kind of how the HP and Lenovo are. It looks like the HP computers are the ones on sale right now. The Lenovo's not too much. But all day, every day, $750 for these specs. Go grab it. That's an amazing deal. And you know, the cool thing about a laptop is for this price right here, you're getting the screen, the mouse, the keyboard, the whole thing. You pull that thing out of its box and it's ready to go. If you buy a desktop, you got to pick out a monitor. You got to get a better keyboard and mouse because the one that comes with the computer is garbage. So keep that in mind. But let's look at Ryzen 5 desktops. Let's see, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, a Ryzen 3 for 480. This is what I'm talking about. $489 for that. It's because there's not as big of a demand for these desktops anymore. So it's an economies of scale thing. They're not making as many of them. So the price has gone up on them. Ryzen 5, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD for $719. Like, no, don't buy that. Also, it's just not that well made of a machine to begin with. This desktop right here, I've purchased this for some of our tech support people. Don't get it. It's garbage. It's plastic. It's not very expandable. It's good specs, a Ryzen 7, 16 gigs of RAM and a terabyte for $700, but it's not that great. The all-in-ones are cool. You do get the monitor, the keyboard, you get the whole shebang with an all-in-one. They're not very expandable. And the thing you need to know about these all-in-one computers is that they are basically a laptop strapped onto the back of a monitor. But they're a laptop computer, all the same motherboard, the same processor, all of that stuff just smacked onto the back of a monitor. So. And then you get these HP Omen, like this gaming desktop, Ryzen 5, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD. It's got a GeForce RTX 4060. That is the graphics adapter that's put into these because these are high performance machines. Not bad. You can get an open box for $773. But these things are loud, and they've got these stupid RGB lights they're very flashy, and they got these RGB lights that are lighting up your whole office. You can go with one of these. It's a little bit overkill. I wouldn't go out of my way for these assault on the senses. But get one for your kid for sure. But that's why I definitely would recommend the laptops at this point for sure. I see Kevin's in there. Got a couple of you in here. Does anybody have any questions? Please feel free to use the chat that should be over on the right-hand side, or it might be below, to ask any questions that you might have. And I also want to let you know that, you can always, if you're watching this after the fact, you can always email me directly, training@sfrep.com. That's training@sfrep.com. I'm also going to give you my telephone number. I'm not going to put it up on the screen because it's going to get scraped and I'm going to start getting spam calls. But I'm going to give it to you. So if you want to get a pen and paper ready, you can call me at this number, but a lot of times I won't answer because I'm busy. But you can also text me at this number, okay? Because we have a fancy voice over IP phone system, so I'm able to send and receive text messages from my office number, okay? So that number is area code 828-919-9082. Area code 828-919-9082. Feel free to text me even if it's on the weekends. I may answer if I'm, not doing anything. And that way you can go out this weekend and you can look at the sales and everything that you see at Costco and at Best Buy and at Office Depot or Staples or wherever you're going. And you can take a snapshot and ask me my opinion. I'll be happy to give it to you. I am generally ready to answer text messages when they come in, so I encourage you to do that. So if we don't have any questions, remember, you can email the questions if you come up with them at a later date, training@sfrep.com. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, we're only less than 30 minutes in and we're already done. So thanks for giving me a couple of minutes, about 30 minutes of your time. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you are now on the right track to getting that new computer. And remember, text me if you have any questions, especially when you're out and about looking for these computers. Area code 828-919-9082. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And don't blow your hand off with some fireworks or something. Y'all have a great rest of your day.